Well, on my video shelf this week, we continue the Fritz Lang retrospective. We look at the German expressionist science fiction film drama, one of the great classics, has been remastered numerous times. Soundtrack has been changed numerous times on there. There are various versions of this film, and all of them are really great to watch on there. And the movie I'm talking about is the 1927 Metropolis, based on the Von Haber 1925 novel of the same name. It was essentially written as a treatment. It stars Alfred Abel, Gustav Froelich, Ruf Klein-Rosch, please excuse my pronunciation, Fritz Rasp, Theodor Luss, Heinrich George, and Bridget Helm as Maria and the Machine. If you have not seen this movie, if you're into filmmaking, you like to get into it, this is one of the films that you need to see. As I said before, Fritz Lang is an excellent director. His cinematography is top notch. Even though some people have criticized his looks, I criticized that some of his stuff to the political atmosphere of the era. Remember, it's 1927. We're out of World War I. We're about to face into World War II in the next decade or so. You know, this is the rise of those bad German guys at this point on there. And as we said before, you know, Fritz was offered a job in their regime. And the next day, he was on his way running out of the country with whatever he had in his pockets. Now, the main plot of this, it's in the future, and you may have heard this in certain current movies, because this has been duplicated, but they haven't been able to get the exact beauty of this. I mean, you could reflect this sort of as an opera in most cases on there. This is a highly stylized futuristic city and utopia, which basically the rich live way above, and the people that are poor, downtrodden, and workers live way below. Sort of like being in the caves, digging for coals, and all that. When a privileged youth, Fredrer, played by Gustav Froelich, discovers the grim scene under the city, he becomes intent in helping the workers. He befriends a rebellious teacher, Maria, played by Bridget Helm. It puts him at odds with his authoritative father, leading to a greater conflict, which basically people try to take advantage of the situation to kill Fredrer by replacing Maria with a robot. This is a fantastic film. Like I said before, this is a film that if you want to get into filmmaking, this is the film one of the films you want to watch. I've mentioned Alfred Hitchcock. I mentioned D.W. Griffin. These type of films are true artistic expressionism, and also it is a piece of artwork that should be hanging in museums right now, which I believe in some places this movie is. This movie backdrop has been used in many different places, from documentaries to believe it or not, there were bars in New York City that would play this and Tron in the background, you know, throughout all their monitors on screens at many times, because of the gorgeous way that these films were made. They had a dark, gritty look to it, but it worked. It's worked. Like I said, there have been various restorations from 1972 to 84 to 87 to 2001 to 2010. I mean, we currently, I think there's one more restoration coming very soon as well. I think they're going to be doing another one. And you have to remember, the soundtrack was changed various times during the restoration. Giorgio Moroder released a soundtrack version included with rock artists Freddie Mercury, Loverboy, and Adam Ant. In 2001, a new reconstruction of Metropolis was shown at the Berlin Film Festival. 2008, a damaged print of the original cut was found in the museum in Argentina, and a long restoration process that required additional materials from a print from New Zealand was found as well. 95% of it was restored and shown in large screens in Berlin and Frankfurt in 2010. People regard this film as one of the greatest, and like I said, greatest and most influential films of all time. This was criticized many times back then, like I said, for the political aspect. As we said before, Fritz Lang had to run out of Germany because of the situations that were going on at the time, and he did not want to work for the Germans at the time, right before war. One thing that was, as far as the special effects goes, you had a cinematographer named Eugen Schuffan, who was a pioneer at the time. The Schuffan process, which is basically the technique of consisting of covering a part of the camera's view with a mirror, allowing the filmmakers to assemble an image from multiple parts. It's still used to this day as far as filmmaking. I mean, some of it, they don't use it as much. You've heard about some of the camera angles we've mentioned before, the Dutch angle, and many others that basically, they're some of them are used in some films, but they're not used widely as it was before. And this is where it comes into the situation. Good filmmaking is you have to have many different elements. If your cinematography holds up, if your script holds up, if your actors hold up, and your music score is kick-ass, the film will be successful. I mean, you look at the miniature effects on this movie. It's beautifully done. The robot is beautiful. I mean, there are statuettes sold today of the Maria robot, that are in people's homes, because that basically, is very popular with those who love the classic films. And the posters alone continue to sell to this day. Godfrey Huppatz was the original composer of the film, which he drew inspirations from Wagner and Strauss. Combined classic orchestrated styles with the modernist touch to the portrayal of the massive industrial city workers. And within the score itself, nestled in there was quotations of Claude Jourog des Liles Le Marseille and Des Irae. I mean, the imagery. This is stuff that is no longer put to use like it used to be. You look to the perspective of and I said this before, a piece of artwork. How many films can you look back to this? You look at Disney and all the films that they have produced, all these Marvel films where they're basically, it's beautifully done, it's shot, it's got the, all the action and stuff like that, but where is the artistic look? Where is the artistic look? If anything that should have had a great artistic look with Guardians of the Galaxy, the different worlds and the way they look. I mean, that is where you could have had a Metropolis type look to it. They think that, people want all this straight out heavy special effects, heavy explosion, the Michael Bay type situation. A lot of experts to this day, even here on YouTube, you've heard from people that have talked about this, people that worked in the business. What is the major problem in the business, in the filmmaking today? Your last minutes of your film, how does it end? Big explosion, everyone either jumping out of a window, jumping out of this, or something to the nature, a giant car crash causing a big explosion. This is how they're ending their films. Last Night in Soho is coming out very soon. And it looks much different than anything that's been put out recently. That's Edgar Wright's new movie coming out. This is a guy who uses soundtracks, who uses good acting, doesn't put heavy dollars into his movies, and fully unrecognized. He's had Scott Pilgrim, he's had Baby Driver, Shaun of the Dead, Attack the Block. all films that have been successful in a way to the point where they're still popular today, but not a blockbuster type. Baby Driver is the perfect example. If you haven't seen it, it's a great film. It's a great film. And you know why? Because he put music to it that worked toward it. Car chases, things, we did the William Frankheimer last week, and we talked about the art of the car chase. They don't have those great car chases. They say, well, it's going to cost us so much insurance, and we have to digitally put it, but that's not the art of the car chase. Most of these car chases that are Fast and the Furious, you would not believe how they make them now. They're not the same way as it was in The French Connection, To Live and Die in LA, and many other. The Vanishing Point is another one. Bullet. You don't have these car chases anymore. And it's the same thing with the Expressionist films. The German Expressionist films were excellent. They were well made. Fritz Lang M, great. The original psychological thriller. And we said before, this copied. They copied over into a Michael Mann TV series, Miami Vice episode, which it's a very good episode. If you haven't seen that, once again, that's season 4, episode 16. It's on Starz. Starz has the entire 5 seasons of Miami Vice available to you. So I would go grab it. It's season 4, episode 16 once again. It's well worth it. Now, you may ask yourself, which version should I watch? Which of these? Well, I would watch all of them if possible, if you can get your hold of it. Kino Video has the current versions of them. The Kino version is the most up-to-date with the extra 25 minutes that were missing from before. Like I said before, the Germans did a number on a lot of the Fritz Lang movies. They were censored and basically toward propaganda and led toward basically some of the footage disappearing from history for a long time. We're just now finding them in various countries now and putting them back together. This would be the most up-to-date version of them. But if you look carefully throughout the internet, you will be able to find various versions of this film itself. At one point, I now note that from one technical aspect, Metropolis is in public domain, but certain versions of it, the soundtrack remastered versions and stuff like that, are under the copyright regulations. So like I said, you can find various versions free out there. Most of those free versions are the originals on there. The film itself should be expiring somewhere now because of the remasters and stuff like that. Somewhere about 2046, somewhere around there. I think it's basically the European Union, Germany, and like I said, temporary U.S. rules. Most of the versions are available on there under public domain. But like I said, Pluto TV has it out there, Amazon, YouTube. It's well worth the watch. It's a must get for your collection, and I highly recommend it.